Record. So please start with your name, with the place you are now, maybe your age also.
Okay. I'm Thomas. I live in Brussels in Belgium. I am 38 now. Yeah. I actually realized just now, like, what is this interview going to be about? I have no idea because I haven't checked any interview yet on YouTube. I just saw it. It was a beautiful matrix of all these faces that I sort of knew a few of them, but not all of them. But I knew quite a lot of them. It was a beautiful matrix.
Yeah. Well, the first group of questions are around you as a human being.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Before the recording, you started to speak a bit about your childhood.
Yeah.
It is well. The question is about your qualities and your values. So maybe this will get you back there, but maybe not necessarily. But this is what I would like to know.
Okay. Is that your question already?
Yeah. About
Wow.
So
wow. What's the question in disguise?
Yeah, read between the lines or read my mind. So yeah, your qualities, your values as a human being. Yeah.
Okay. I think one of my most important values is, and yeah, qualities and values, not always the same, but I think in this case they're the same. I think it's honesty. And I could often be even much more honest. I mean, I often feel that I would want to be more honest, but I'm not, because I'm expecting that other people don't always appreciate too much honesty. But in my world, I would be much more honest. Meaning I would much more often just say what's in my mind. Because I think it's because I value authenticity in relationships a lot. Yeah, and then I just feel that honesty is a very simple way to create a relationship. Yeah.
So that does that mean that you sometimes feel that you block yourself in this sense, or you are you agree in yourself with that, you suppress sometimes?
Well, sometimes I feel like if I'm going to be honest now, people will be really disturbed.
Okay.
So I'm not going to do it. And sometimes I'm in a situation where I feel it would be good for myself that I could be honest now. So then I'm indeed more suppressing myself if I'm not being honest then. So sometimes it's just okay. Then I feel okay. It's just so socially. It's sometimes if you're always honest in social related situations, it's going to be very disturbing for people. So I value it a lot, and I try to be as honest as I can with people in my intimate relationships. But also there sometimes I choose not to be. And as I said, it can go both ways. Sometimes it feels okay for me, and sometimes I feel, oh, I would have enjoyed. I have a need to be honest and to share something because I feel uncomfortable myself, or I feel disturbed myself. Yeah. I have a particular situation in mind actually. This last Monday, I'm in a little choir. We have like a virus family with 4 people, and we sing together. And we were meeting up on Monday, and so we are 2 women and 2 men, and one of the men has a partner, and the rest is single. So I'm single and the other two women are single as well. And so we're meeting at Michael's place, and I'm arriving there, and one of the women is already there, and I feel very awkward, as if I'm breaking into something, as if I kind of broke up some kind of thing between them, and I couldn't shake it off me. It was very present, and I felt like, what's this? And my need would have been to be honest about it, just to say, am I breaking up here? Am I breaking up something? Am I? I was not too early, so I didn't do anything wrong or something. But it was like, but I couldn't do it because I felt it would be really too disturbing for them if it would be true, because it was, of course, it was my feeling, and I trust my feeling quite strongly, but it doesn't mean that anything was happening. But you can think of many scenarios. But so I didn't say it, and it had an impact on me. I noticed we started singing, and I was much more tensed, and I couldn't sing that good as I could normally. I had a hard time finding my notes, and I could hear my voice trembling a little bit because there was tension in my body. So, yeah.
Yeah, so be honest with me here.
You want me to be honest with you?
Yeah.
Right now?
Right now.
Yeah, I feel a bit tensed, and I'm aware of being recorded. Yeah, I'm aware of being recorded. So I think I noticed that I'm a bit more articulate, or I'm a bit more. I'm putting my energy in it a bit more, I think. And I link that to being recorded. I feel a bit on stage a little bit. Yeah.
Of course, but I appreciate that you articulate things, because, well, usually when we meet, you speak quickly, we laugh a lot, and sometimes it's not easy for me to follow everything. So.
Oh, that's good that you tell me that.
Oh, I hope it's not disturbing.
It's possibly disturbing, of course, if you're being so honest.
But what would be some other values and and qualities of?
Yeah, I think it's all a bit along the same lines. The first thing I was thinking about is integrity. It's becoming more and more important for me, and I notice it very strongly in my work also. I'm becoming very strict on what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And for example, I'm collaborating with a coaching organization to develop a leadership program, and I just can't get rid of the feeling that there is something wrong in the collaboration. There's something not right about the roles and about the distribution of decision making, and I sort of brought it up already slightly, and I just know that if this is going to carry on, that I'm not going to do it. If we don't manage to get things clear, and to that for me is integrity, I think. If we manage, if we don't manage to get things clear and to be clear on who does what, and then I can't go on with it. Yeah, and that becomes
too much burden, no? Too much tension with.
Yeah, too much tension. Also, it will provoke me to be present in the way I want to be present. It will inhibit my honesty and my authenticity. So, like, I can't do that anymore. And I'm saying I can't do it anymore because I have done it. I have been compromising for the sake of money, for the sake of, not only for the sake of money, also for the sake of not wanting to disturb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Mm.
So it's I don't know if we're talking about integrity then for real. I think it's integrity. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like that. It's yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm reading this book, and yesterday I came across a very interesting sentence. I want to read it to you
Mm-hmm. Please.
because it said a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
The book is called Presence
Mm-hmm.
by Otto Scharmer is one of the writers. Here it is. So they're talking about Guatemala, about a project in Guatemala. And they're saying the sacred book of the Mayans is called the Popol Vuh. And there's a line in it that says, "We did not put our ideas together. We put our purposes together and we agreed. Then we decided." I think it kind of sums up what I'm trying to say. If our purpose is not matching,
Mm-hmm.
then it's not going to work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't do it. So it's almost less about what we are going to do, what we are going to do for real. It's much more about is our purpose aligned, and of course your purpose often is not entirely aligned, but is there enough basic? Is there enough connection between our purposes?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can take off. And then it's also, I think then it's also less important that our ideas and our concrete developments are exactly the way I want them. As long as our purpose is connected enough,
Mm-hmm.
then we can take off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, I can understand that, and I can relate to some activist groups.
Yeah.
I've observed or I've been part of that is well, generally there are some aims, and well, obviously there are aims and people agree to that, but yeah, somewhat they don't discuss it in what ways this is the aim for them. I would what is yeah, it sounds as if they agree on this very purpose, but it is not necessarily, and they start working, acting, speaking a lot, hyper active and so on, and whereas yeah, the purpose might not really be the same for all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Huh? Um,
And I think I need what I need, or I could also say it's a value for me, is to make space for um, a situation where you can share this purpose, or where you can where you can go back to this purpose.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
So I find it really hard to, and I've done it in the past, but it's very draining for me to jump into action
Mm-hmm.
without building
Yeah,
this purpose, solid purpose.
this grant, we could say, no?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's grounded, indeed. Yeah.
uh, and I guess it's important. Really, it resonates in me because it's really like in this world full of projects. You can be
Yeah,
here, there. Yeah, you can always act, but
yeah,
or where I am now in my life, what I expect from this very project. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of like a lot of acting in this world,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and actually, also what I'm trying to do with leadership is a bit the same. It's about it's. I believe that the leadership nowadays should be able to hold off the reactivity.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so I'm talking about that actually. I feel myself that's what I need in collaborations, or for myself. I need to I need to have access to a place where I can be where I don't need to jump into action immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Where I can just sit and be with the person I'm working with and see if we can if we have time and can we connect and then of course there will be action and we will be productive and everything. But
Mm-hmm. 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 Reactivity, you said also, yes? Reactivity.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. And what about your passions? What are they? Um,
What do you mean passions?
like, okay, let's leave aside now values
Mm-hmm.
and qualities, and what you get passionate about.
What I get passionate about. Yeah. Well, the first thing I'm thinking about is I love cooking. I can get really passionate about cooking.
Mhm.
I
I
get really,
wasn't aware.
yeah, I can get really passionate about uh, creating something new in my kitchen, and
Mhm.
having friends taste it. That's something I can get really passionate about. But maybe that's not what you mean. Maybe that's
Yeah, it
you
is.
want.
It is.
Okay.
Still about human being, not
Yeah, yeah.
narrowing down to Gestalt therapist.
Okay, yeah, yeah. No, that's something that I feel really passionate about.
Mm.
Um, and I think it's mostly the creativity in it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, I always have a hard time reproducing what I've cooked before because
Uh-huh.
I I don't like to repeat things, or it's not interesting to me to repeat things. If somebody asks me a recipe, I can never say you need to put that much tablespoons of this and then that of that because it's all on taste. And I have some recipes for myself, but these are just lists of ingredients. My recipes there's hardly any um, there's hardly any measures with it. So there is, yeah, that's what I enjoy a lot, to play around with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I feel very confident also in the kitchen. I've done that a lot. So
Yeah, cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm discovering it myself actually
yeah.
at this stage of life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Well, it was funny because I have a room here that's empty and I rent it sometimes, and I had a lodger
uh-huh.
for a few months recently. He was a young boy. He was 22 years old. It didn't work out very well. He was a bit too young, and so we decided that it was better for him to leave. But he was very interested in my cooking, and I noticed that I could just talk about it so much, and I wasn't aware of that. And that he would ask me things, and then I could say, "Yeah, you should do this and that, but we should watch out for that, and then this and that." Like, I have so much to say about it. So I didn't know that, and then I realized, yeah, of course, I have been cooking for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started living alone when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I've been cooking myself for 20 years. I have 20 years of experience in cooking. So it's obvious that I have so much to say, and of course you develop your own methods and your own things, and I have many cookbooks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was also funny to see how he was cooking, and I realized, yeah, I did the same thing when I was his age, and they don't work, and you know that it's not gonna, it's going to be messed up. Just basic things, you don't stir the rice, for example. You don't do that unless you want it to glue together and you have a risotto. But it's just these funny things. Then you realize, yeah, I was doing it myself. I remember cooking rice when I was young, and then thinking, my rice is not done. I should stir it more. It's getting worse. I should stir it again. It's getting even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Funny to see that. But yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Uh, and and who had the greatest impact on your life? If you,
That's a hard question. Wow, because there are so many people who had impact on my life. Actually, I'm in this process. Sally Dan Vaughan is doing this 8-week journey. She called it the liminal space, and it's a bit of a shamanistic journey. And we're in the stage actually where it's about our ancestors and the people who have we learned from. And I realized that it's so hard for me to pick these specific people. And I'm mostly thinking about trainers. But then also I was thinking about my parents. With my parents, it's not so specific. Like I don't really know what did they specifically give me. It's more they're there, and I sort of feel that they're saying it's okay what you do. It's just that's a big impact. And it's taken me a long time to feel that. I'm feeling it now, but it's something quite recent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a hard question.
Yeah,
And there's one trainer in particular.
Yeah, I just want to say you don't need to. If but okay, let's go on.
There's one trainer in particular. He's called Eric Kuivers. Erik Kuivers in Dutch, and he's not very international. I don't think that's where his interest goes, but he always managed to freshen things up in a very humane, very simple way, and that's sort of what I got from him. Yeah, I miss him sometimes because he was I've been in supervision with him for a while, but that wasn't really what I wanted from him. So it's sort of I think he was a big influence on me in the way that he could make complex things very simple, and he always managed to bring it back to yourself. And that's something that I found very valuable. Yeah.
And with these ancestors you relate to, I guess it's also difficult, no? As you said with your parents, that it is your recent kind of experience. This is mine as well, but I guess that it is really in-depth exploration about ancestors, really embodied one. That would be my guess now. Guess and some of experience, I guess.
Yeah, that's how it goes in this journey with Sally. There is a Monday morning and a Tuesday evening session, and I'm attending both because I feel I want things to be repeated. And it was interesting how in the Monday morning session when she asked the question, who are your ancestors, who has impacted you the most, and she said it differently. And there was so many people coming up. I was even thinking about Sally and about Marianne Shidiak, and I was thinking about my own trainers in Belgium, and I was thinking about friends, and so there was a lot of things coming up. It was very embodied and a bit confusing. And then the day after, the Tuesday evening session, she asked the same question, maybe slightly different, and I could only see my parents, and I felt much more calm and relaxed. Much less confused, and I only had this vision of my two parents, and I could see them standing a bit at a distance from me, and they were just okay with it. It's okay, go ahead. That's what they would say, something like that. I was really curious if you speak of the embodied thing, it was quite embodied.
Okay, and tell me, how did you come to Gestalt world, to Gestalt therapy, notion generally?
Okay. Okay, I need to be honest for a second. Yeah, I'm a bit stressed again and thinking, is this interview going to be interesting enough? I'm not sure. Well, maybe if I think of the other people who were there, maybe the other were more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, but there is some story behind that you one day you wanted to go and see what this Gestalt therapy is.
Okay, you want to know that?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, Gestalt was not my first interest. I studied psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a psychologist, and then in my psychology study, I was mostly drawn to client-centered
Mm-hmm.
therapy. Well, probably also because at the university we could choose between psychoanalysis, behavioral therapy, systemic therapy, and then client center. And then client center was the one that I felt most attached to. So there was a point where I thought, well, I'm going to study client center therapy. But then it didn't really take off, and I was traveling for a while. Also, I was doing other stuff, and kind of moved into the background. And then I started working in a mental health, no, in a therapeutic community
Mm-hmm.
for people with personality disorders.
Mm-hmm.
A very interesting project, but it was not something for me because it was a very slow process with these people. And back then, I needed much more excitement from my external world. Um, so they were working psychoanalytically,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I quite liked it. They were quite competent people. They had interesting ways of thinking. Um, they took their time to construct policy. Yeah, I really liked it. So there was a point where I got interested in maybe I should study psychoanalysis. But then I quit working there. I got fired even. And I had a conflict with the principal. And so I quit there, and then that also moved to the background. And then I started seeing a Gestalt therapist here in Brussels. Yeah, and I was with him for 4 years. And I think, and that kind of, yeah, it kind of got me interested. And then there were back then there were two institutes in Belgium. There was one in the west
Mm-hmm.
of Flanders, and there was one just across the border in the Netherlands, but it's a Flemish Dutch institute. And so I attended an introductory day at both of the institutes. And the one I was a bit put off because I felt really like client centered. There was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel it wasn't confrontational enough. And then the other one they were very confrontational, and I was like, all right, this is what I want. And not in the sense that they were hard or they were mean or anything, but it was just I really felt we had just one day, and the methods that were used were very upfront and very um, like I couldn't hide myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I was looking for. Like, and I must say it was love at first sight. Then I was really like, all right, this is great, and that I never had that with other modalities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I started studying it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And over the years, because it started when? How many years ago?
That was 2012.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And has your attraction changed? I mean, been changing over the years in terms of theory, maybe parts of theory or practice, or maybe you were bored with Gestalt also?
No, Gestalt is really feels like my home base,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very attached to it. I did a year of relational organizational Gestalt with relational change in the UK, and that was really good to it kind of reignited my interest and my enthusiasm, because I got acquainted the with the English Gestalt, which is much more academic and much more refined than what we were taught in Belgium. What I've lacked in our education was the kind of clarity and the kind of breaking down the methods of Gestalt,
Mm-hmm.
what they do in the UK. I was really impressed and really delighted about that. I remember it was one of my first. I had a 4-day workshop with Sally in Oxford, and then I had a 5-day meeting with also Sally and Marianne in Melbourne. And I remember there in Melbourne, we had a day where we were doing some sessions, and I had been doing work with somebody, and we were in subgroups, and Marianne was facilitating us.
Mm-hmm.
And so after my work, I had done like a 15-minute session with somebody. After my work, Marianne started to deconstruct what I had been doing. And I was like, wow, did I do that? Oh yeah, of course. That's how, oh yeah, oh yeah, that's the cycle of experience. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
it was funny to see. And of course it's because things become integrated, and then you don't see anymore what you're doing. But it was so helpful to see, okay, that's what I'm doing. Oh yeah, and there I'm and a lot of the things I did where I realized were not that conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And so that sort of reignited my enthusiasm to get a bit deeper and to understand a bit better what am I doing. And that I feel nowadays I think I'm a bit more conscious about
Mm-hmm.
how far I go, or what how I try to facilitate awareness. Yeah, so that has really um,
Mm-hmm.
that has helped me. And recently I'm getting interested in process work.
Mm-hmm.
You know process work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I read a book about process work about 5 years ago, and I was really enthusiastic about it. It was really very exciting. But there was a bit of a spiritual edge to it, and I don't think I was very accessible for that back then. Today I feel a bit more accessible for it,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel yeah I feel excited about it now. And I attended a seminar last weekend
Mm-hmm.
with Arnold Mindell and his wife.
Uh-huh.
It was very funny. They were in Portland, Oregon, and then were a lot of people attending from various countries.
Mm-hmm.
We had like a full day seminar about was about your own facilitator style.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was very interesting. I was really I was quite delighted by that. So I think my interest is moving a bit to that, and to I feel I'm like I feel I'm a bit more going towards process also in my work as a psychotherapist, that I'm um, what in my training the bodily approach has not been very present. It was more about, we had a lot of creative methods, and there was a lot of confrontational skills. We also learned a lot. Um, but the bodily approach, and to be attentive for bodily process, that we haven't really that wasn't taught very extensively. So I followed a year workshops with Juliana Appel-Opper in Berlin, and Juliana is somebody who is a very integrative psychotherapist, and she has an enormous background. So it was not always easy to understand what she's trying to teach us. So I do feel that she kind of helped me to set off on a path where I'm more cautious and more focused on what happens in the body.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been an important journey as well, because it has yeah, it has opened that door, like, to approach clients more from a body perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And also I'm my own therapy is with Juliana.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Actually, right before we were talking, I had a session with her, and through being her client, I've learned a lot from her. So it has helped me to apply things like that. So I think after Gestalt, the bodily approach, which is very present in England, for example, and I think also in the US, I think I kind of found it myself through Juliana, and also when I go to conferences, I'm always very focused on workshops with a bodily approach. And then this process thing, it's something a bit new. It's still quite young, but I do feel I want to explore that a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going to lead.
Mm-hmm. And so in terms of you being a therapist and you being also, I mean, developing into this organization work, this is what Marianne calls it organization man. No, she uses person.
Practitioner.
An even person, she said, you know, but
really?
but would you call yourself, I mean, or you are interested in that direction too?
It's a struggle. It's a struggle. I'm always coming back to it. I worked for a coaching company about three years or 4 years, and I was doing many coachings for them, team coachings, alongside my private practice.
Okay.
Well, and
applying their Gestalt.
No, I was not. I only there was also there was only little space to apply my Gestalt. And it's always been a struggle for me, because being a psychotherapist, I've always felt quite intimidated by this organizational world. But I've always felt that I want to do something there, and that I have some kind of purpose there. So I got acquainted with it through this company. Unicorn is the name of the company, but after a few years, I realized that the way they are working is not what I want. It's to put it very simple, it's let's see what's going good, what's going bad, and what do you want to change. And that's not how I want to work with people. So I got a bit burned out there. I really had a burnout afterwards also. But I still feel I want to do something in organizations. So I've done some coaching around that, because I wanted to get it more clear. And the result was that I felt I should work with leaders and with leadership. And that was quite confrontational, but I realized, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to stand next to this leader and coach them. And so yeah, I realized, yeah, that's what I want to do. Actually, I want to do it, but I'm also very scared, because it's like I find it an intimidating world. So I'm slowly building it up again, and I'm building up. I'm reading and building up some ideas around leadership. And now there is an opportunity within New Gestalt Voices to do some work there with Tony. That's one option. Then there is and the institute that's left, the Gestalt Institute in Belgium that's left. They have quite a GPO branch, and there's also some interest. So there are some things coming to me right now. But I feel I need to take it slowly. Okay. I need to take my time, because at my burnout, I've been burned out for 15 months. I haven't worked for 15 months. I only started working again in October last fall, and I feel that my work in organizations was the biggest reason for my burning out.
Okay.
Well, of course, burning out is a huge process. It's not just about work; it's about how you are in life and what support you lack, and it's much broader than that. But if I have to pin it down to work, then it was my work in organization that had burned me out. I don't feel my work in my practice was burning me out.
Yeah, I can understand. I mean, this field of organization, this atmosphere, if you like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think I was easily confluent with that. That reactivity, the reactivity, and the constantly going into action. And the result, well, if you look at the cycle of experience, if you're constantly in this action mode and you're just picking something up and acting upon it, there is no depth. There's no ground. There's no depth. And I think I've experienced that myself. And in the end, I felt like there's no depth.
And yet, you somehow I don't know if I may say so, but you believe somehow in organizations that there is some work to be done there. With this is something interesting for me to. I don't know if you could say.
Yeah, well,
yes.
I don't know where it comes from, this idea, but I because if I trace it back to my past, my parents, for example, they have never been. My father always worked for the union, and then afterwards he was a coach for a while. But my mother, she's been teaching, so there was never any. Also, in the friends of my father, there was nobody who was working for a corporate institution. I have very little acquaintance with that world. But I sort of feel, I think I'm more interested in working with an organization as such. The idea of an organization, of a big group of people that's coming together, and they're doing something, and they're producing something, or they are offering something or whatever. I think I'm more interested. I'm more attracted to that, like this big body to work with that. And I also noticed that in my work with organizations, I'm very focused on process. I'm not focused so much on tasks and on procedures and on systems, but a lot on process. And actually, it's good to talk about it with you, because it really helps me to understand a bit better. So I think my attachment, my attraction to organizations is about working with the process of an organization. And it's less about how can I make this organization more efficient. That's not really my attraction. Though the result of working with a process will be that the organization becomes more efficient and becomes more fluent, or whatever. That's the result. But I think I'm interested in the living organism of an organization.
And how does that relate to leadership? Because you said that in particular leadership. So it is like part of this process. How would you? I am really interested.
I've also been thinking about that recently, because somebody asked me, so why do you want to work with leaders? And I've been working with teams a lot, and I realized afterwards that working with teams, I somehow feel like there's not a lot of sense to it, because you're coming in for one day, doing a workshop with a team, and you're going out, and that's it. And you don't. There's no follow up. You have little. Well, it depends, of course, on the project, but usually there's little follow up, and you're working just with a small branch of a tree that has little impact on the tree. So I think I'm drawn to leaders from the idea that a leader models quite strongly what happens in the organization, as in leading by example. And that if I work with leaders, I'm more working on the stem on the stem and the roots of the tree. Well, the roots is even further than the leader, and you have to go to the historic background and all. So I think that's what attracts me, that I feel that through leadership I can have more impact, or I can change more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so here we are. How are you at the end of it?
Yeah, I'm still nervous. It's still it's good to talk about these things. I feel it's good to speak a bit about it and think about.
Yeah, I got interested too. I mean, I've been before, like it is interesting for me, organization and but I myself, I never, try anything like this. But theoretically, I am interested of how this
Yeah.
move, and it sounds logical to me what you are now presenting, and and it might be exciting. I for sure.
Yeah. Well, and it actually links back to my values. I think what we talked about. I think what I want to do with organizations is very close to this honesty, integrity, authenticity.
Huh?
These values are very important for me in the work I would do with leaders. So if you go back to the beginning of the conversation and the question was what do I value in my life as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and what I was talking a lot about how relationships are very important for me, and how trying to be honest,
Yes.
I try to sustain them and to support them. So I think I'm sort of doing the same thing with leadership, that
Mm-hmm.
I want to infuse this authenticity and honesty um, in an organization as well through my work. So in a bigger relationship field than just my own personal relationship.
Yeah. And in the controversial field, in a sense of they money, I mean profit orientation, action orientation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a field where there's little time and space for honesty and authenticity, because
Exactly.
there is time is money and we have to
Yes.
produce. And so, yeah, I try to bring in something different there. Yeah.
Which is very needed. I mean, in this
Yep.
field.
And I feel that it's difficult. I feel it's difficult to develop it and to stand my ground and to bring it in.
Mhm.
It's not going to be easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it needs to be also slow. And
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
uh,
We need to be quite clear.
oh, okay. So thank you, Thomas, for this
My
interview.
pleasure. Yes. Yeah.
We'll stop now, and
So you're going to publish it?
yeah, in this week.
Okay. Okay.